When I think back to the table I grew up around, it wasn't just a place where we ate. It was a scene, a rhythm, a world inside a world. Our table was a gathering point. It held the weight of the day: groceries, homework, laughter, bills, frustration, celebration. It was where we processed life in real time, where people walked in tired and somehow walked away rested. The table was never quiet. There was always a story unfolding. Someone telling on someone debating something, someone healing from something. Our table was a space where personalities collided and came alive. But underneath all of that was love. A love that fed you even where there wasn't much on the table. And looking back, I realized something. The table was my first blueprint. It taught me who I was, how to listen, how to speak up, how to feel seen, and sometimes how to survive. Food was more than food. It was memory. It was identity. It was a quiet kind of therapy that didn't need a name. And long before I had the language, the table became the architecture for how I move. Today's conversation is with someone who understands that on a soul level. You're listening to Blueprint and Soul, a podcast about building from the inside out, where we explore the architecture of becoming, how identity, culture, memory, and psychology shape the lives we build. And today I get to sit with someone whose life, story, and craft are built from some of the same emotional materials: love, resilience, community, and memory. My guest today is Kareem Mr. Bake Queeman, James Beard Award nominated pastry chef, on-air food personality, entrepreneur, educator, and the creative force behind Mr. Bake Sweets. But more than that, Kareem is a cultural storyteller, someone who takes flavors from Harlem, from his grandma's kitchen, from his queer identity, from joy, from pain, and transform them into desserts that feel like memory, like healing, like home. And on a personal note, Kareem is someone who has inspired me and helped me deepen my understanding of how culture becomes craft and how food becomes a language of care. Kareem, welcome to Blueprint and Soul. I want to go back to the beginning, not with your career, but your environment. You talked about growing up in Harlem, about your grandmother, and how food was never just food. What did the table look like in your childhood home, and when did you first realize food became a part of how you understood yourself?
Well, can I first say shout out to that intro? That was lit. I appreciate that. It was so heartfelt and warm and inviting. I just want to give you kudos.
Speaking nothing but the truth, man.
No,
You earned it.
all right. So then your question was, when did food become a thing for me?
When did food first become a part of how you understood yourself?
Oh, wow. That was a good question. I would probably say that happened not so long ago, probably about 10 years ago. Because generally when I was younger, I was cooking because I enjoyed the desserts, right? I cooked for myself. Then I realized I wanted to cook in relation to making people happy. But then when you ask me when it become like a part of me, I would probably say when I realized that I was using this food to tell my personal story of my love of food, of how the the matriarchs or the people who are the blueprint for why I enjoy sweets, why I enjoy community. I get to uplift them. So it was a part of who I am. And also it was also raising and keeping the names up of I would like to say my four mothers, because they were all females, that really were the catalyst to help shape that.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a deep response, and right along
Good question.
those veins, paint a picture for me. What food memories shape your childhood? What flavors? What smells? What moments built your earliest blueprint?
Um, I laugh because there's so many, and living in a black household, so many layers to that. So, all right. One of the main dishes I would say is the first thing I ever made. I always tell the story when I was about I don't know, 8 or 10 years old. It changes because I don't really know what day. I don't really know how old I
It's
was.
all right.
I know I was in fourth or fifth grade because I knew where we were at. I knew when I did it. I know what the cake looked like. I can see that now, which is wild because I remember a lot of other things. It's yellow cake, with, chocolate frosting. And honestly, it was a box cake with, think it was no, and it was canned frosting. That still today is one of my best cakes. It's still so nostalgic. It's the way that I cook. I cook very nostalgic, very, comforting. I like to invoke childhood memories. So that always invokes that memory. Wait, let me go back to that. That particular cake, all right, so I made that for my first time. My mother wasn't a great baker, but she was a fantastic cook. And we bought this cake. The oven, the oven was janky, to be honest. Like one side was hotter than the other.
We all been there.
You understand what I'm saying? So one side was hotter than the other. And I remember making a cake and the cake was lopsided, because of the way the oven worked. And I learned about others then about rotating pans and things like that. I still F that cake up. So that's one memory. Another memory is I talk about this often too, is banana pudding. I, I won my first ever like competition with that. That was in high school around like 10th or 11th grade. And I I remember that and bring that up so much is because I often tell this to students, when I do speaking, because it is when someone doesn't understand, something that's a desire that's burning inside of you, you have to push through it. My mother didn't understand what it meant to be a baker or a pastry chef. And when I wanted to enter the competition, I did it so late, like literally late in the day. I was like, I'm going to do it right now. And I like went to the store, I got some stuff. I said, I'm going to do it. And my mother said the kitchen is closed. Like we had and when you're a kid, you literally swept and mop the floor. All the food is done. The stove is cleaned. The sink is cleaned out, like thoroughly. Dishes is dried and put away.
Lights off, dish rag on the ledge. Kitchen is closed. No water, no food. I get it.
Take that to bed, baby.
I get it.
You know how that
I've
goes.
been there.
Exactly. So I didn't listen. And I grabbed all the things I could. This was instant. This is from the box banana pudding. I grabbed everything I needed. I bought it in my room and used the TV light to create this banana pudding, and then creep back into the kitchen. And then brought it to school and won. And then, like I said, I tell that to kids is because like, even it may come from your household where you are being doubted about something, you believe that you should be doing, and you need to be able to push past that and say, I'm still going to do it because it feels good inside of me.
Well, I can say, for as many years as I've known you, that resilience, that perseverance is definitely still there. And that amazing banana pudding is definitely still there.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to move into our next question. You've said before that your identity, your upbringing, your lived experiences, all that shaped your craft. How did where you came from become part of how you show up today?
Instantly comes in my head as a song. Let me show you where I grew up at. Flip mode, screw up at. I don't know why, but that's.
Oh, you're taking it back.
Yes, okay, exactly. I think, well, first of all, I'm from New York. I'm from Harlem. So let's start there. Anybody who is from New York, specifically from the city, reps that to the day they die. I don't care, especially if you live there all the way up until like mid adulthood or like mid 20s or 30s or something. You are New York. And you're not letting that go, even no matter where you live at. So number one, New York shows up anywhere and everywhere. New York, or what New York has instilled in me, still shows up to this day. We're talking about hustling, right? Watching one of the people, I shout out Miss Cassandra, who's in my building, who used to have the shopping carts full of all of the like kid stuff, the bubbles, the little Kit Kat thingies, the yo-yos, like whatever was popping and kids wanted. And she would go in the summertime, go to all the festivals, street fairs, block parties, run up and down 125th Street or whatever and sell money. I saw that every day. Then to go to 125th Street or go to Broadway and see people outside selling books, selling CDs on the sheets that had to grab them before the police came to the permits. Like, I saw that type of tenacity, that type of badass, that type of you're not gonna stop me, right? So I grew up in that. And then secondly, being openly gay, but then navigating what it meant to be gay in the 2000s, right? Early 2000s, so one, lingo, learning, acceptability, learning who you are, learning that there's different layers to you, right?
Absolutely.
And then also learning you could be a badass and standing up for what you believe in when people don't understand who you are. Because I watched trans or got exposed to trans identity at 16, 17, and was blown away because these females who were born as males, right? Look like females. And it blew me. I ain't never seen that like that before in my life. I say, yo, that's a female? I mean, that used to be a male. She's opened up my eyes so much more. You know what I mean? That's why I always tell people it's a beauty growing up in New York. And it's a curse because you get exposed to so much at a young age, right? Depending on, you had to walk yourself to school, things like that. So independency showed up early, resilience, as you talked about, showed up early. Also being raised by a single parent, a mother, and watching my aunts who also were single parents raise, my cousins, and saw the strength in them. So that is in part of me. But I also would like to say to you, there's a confidence that comes from a New Yorker. There's a confidence that comes from being an American. But the one thing that I tell you that I had to work through is self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. That's deep.
So, especially when it comes to Black people, because I lived a Black experience. I hang out with Black people, so I talk from the Black perspective. Black people, I noticed that a lot of us, and I date Black people. So Black people, a lot of us, we have to build up our self-esteem. We may walk in confident, our head held high, and baby, we look fly to death when we do it, especially New Yorkers. But we don't really think that we question if you say, oh, you're so beautiful. You really think so? Why are you questioning if I think you're beautiful? You should know you're beautiful too. You know what I mean? Things like that. So the confidence might have been there and it was a cloak that I would wear, but the self-esteem deep rooted inside, I did not fully have. That had to come later on.
I think all of us, with this Black experience in America, we all have to find our own reason, our own blueprint to build up that confidence and to build that foundation of self.
Yeah.
It's not always an easy thing for most of us. It's a difficult thing. It's an ongoing thing. So, I think that your experience is very relatable. It's way too common to see single moms, holding households together, to see that the world may not perceive us on the outside the way that we perceive us on the inside.
Correct.
So, it's definitely one of those things that I think a lot of people throughout different backgrounds, through different life experiences, can really relate to, and can really appreciate you not just living, experiencing, and thriving through it, but setting an example.
Yes.
And I think that, that's huge,
And that's hard work too, right? And I think sometimes you don't even know you're setting an example because you're living. Like when you are in it, when you are saying like, because especially when it's possible, we're talking about the blueprint, right? To how you got to where you got to, right? When we're talking about that, that's a lot of deep internal work. And it's like you said, it's a constant work. It's not I did that, yay. No, because there are going to be things in your life that's going to trigger emotions. And that is where you're going to be tested. And it's going to say, well, the practices or the tools, or systems, whatever language you use for the things you have in place to help you get through hard times, right? How strong is that? How do you really have it when it rears its ugly head to you again? And there's going to be times where something is going to click off, like it's going to tick you off, and you're going back to that emotion, to that feeling of when all multiple other things made you feel
Absolutely.
exactly how you feeling now. So I say all of that to say is you don't know that you are being an example because you're just living your life and trying to exist. So you change from a survival mode to a thriving mode.
That's beautiful.
You get what I'm saying? And people don't talk about that a lot because we were in a survival mode. Get through the day. Sometimes I even feel like, even though I feel like I'm thriving and not thriving career-wise, thriving personally, meaning I'm in a good place. I found and understand and felt what peace is. And let's not get confused with peace with happiness or joy. Those are moments that happen. Peace is understanding that when things happen to me, I have the ability to stay grounded in the space and navigate it. Because I have no control over how life is going to present itself to me, but I have every much control over how I am going to react to the presentation of life.
Absolutely.
I also want to give you a soundbite.
And that talk about culture and the Black and brown experience in America. For a lot of us, especially in the Black and brown communities, the table is a classroom. It's therapy, it's history, it's survival.
Yeah.
How does culture show up in your work? Even when you aren't explicitly trying to make it quote unquote cultural.
First of all, we're Black. We are the #1 cultural trendsetters in the world. The #1. So when I walk into a room, just being my badass, just being my full self is already showing the culture, the love, the wherever I come from, that Blackness, that gayness, that queerness is coming out. You know, maybe not now what levels in terms of what rooms I'm in, because clearly I'm not jumping on, the couches at, an expensive hotel and stuff like that. But maybe it's in the back of my head that I can do that. You know what I mean? Just to let you know. But I think that who we are, at core, the beautiful parts of us, should always radiate and shine through wherever you walk through the door. And that is what I try to possess, or make sure is forefronted when I come to any space that I occupy. So it could be the language in which I use that my culture shows up. It can be the style in which I dress where my culture may show up. I love wearing African prints. I also love wearing things that say like butch queen, which is a word derived from the gay vernacular. So I love to do things that represent who and everything that I am, because you never know who's in the room.
Absolutely. And I think that authenticity, showing up as your authentic self, is a part of leadership, right? If we're going to lead, if we're going to be the leaders we want to be, who we were raised to be, it's very important that we embrace our culture and that we show up every day as an authentic version of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you. I noticed that you answering me. How would you say to someone to show up for themselves? How do you, what's that look like for you? Well, how do you show up for you? I'm just interested. Now I'm just interested. Being your friend, I don't think we've had these types of conversations.
Yeah.
And if we had, please refresh my memory.
For me, showing up as an authentic version of myself is, most importantly, is understanding myself.
I'm glad you said that. That sounds like self-love. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Over the years, I have been fiercely loyal, sometimes to a fault, sometimes to my own detriment.
To other people?
To other people.
Okay.
It's once I started doing the internal work that I realized that I had to learn to be loyal to me.
Amen.
I had to learn to take those quiet moments, those moments to have self-reflection, and to ask myself, Sal, how are you doing today?
Beautiful.
How are you feeling? How's life going for you?
Yeah.
Sometimes we get caught up in the moment and we don't take the time. We're just surviving. We're just trying to get through it, right? Yeah. We don't take the time to ask ourselves, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And so for me to show up authentically, it's been very self-aware of how I'm doing, how I'm feeling the situation, where my boundaries are, how I show up for the people who matter the most to me, and how I present myself in the world. Understanding that I can adapt to situations, but that does not require me to sacrifice my identity.
Yes, and yes. Woo! I was just talking about that the other day with somebody. So why I want to say thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. I think I can mirror a lot of that with you. And I think I wanted to bring that up because one, I wanted to get more connected with how we mentally and spiritually are aligned, right?
Absolutely.
I think the same thing. And I love that you said sense of awareness, because my next thing would be, because a lot of people are reading this, and the thing is, you have to start gaining a level of sense of awareness. That means identifying with feelings and emotions, which a lot of people don't, especially men. We don't like to identify with our feelings anymore. We can't. We don't even know if you say, you're sad. Am I? No, I'm not, sir. You know, we was talking about my mom, my cousins and I were talking about my brother, and they was like, oh, you got to say if you're depressed. And I was like, I don't even think he knows that he's depressed. I don't think that he ever even can recognize what depressed or anxiety looks like, because we don't want to label ourselves as those things. So we run away from those things.
I think that it's really sad and unfortunate, especially in our communities. I think that access to and actively taking advantage of mental health resources and self-care is so seldomly done.
100%. It's getting more play than when we were younger.
Oh, yeah.
You think about our parents raising us. So we're thinking about those 20-year-olds parents, those 30-year-old parents, those young parents. My mother was 20 when she had me. She was 18 when she had my brother. So these are kids having kids.
Yeah. And it kind of goes into culture and a generational thing where our parents, our grandparents, for males, especially in our community, emotions were seen as a sign of weakness.
Right. Oh, they got that masculinity.
Mental health was seen as an illness.
Yep. Take it to church.
I think we are beginning to understand ourselves better.
Yes.
We are beginning to understand the science behind it better. And even on a very, very surface level, we're beginning to understand our feelings better. It feels better to talk through things.
Yes, it doesn't it?
It feels better to feel things, even when it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
Even when it isn't a pleasant feeling in the moment, it feels better to be able to feel, to process, to be able to work through all the emotions and be able to say, okay, here's the reality of where I am. And now I can set the blueprint for where I'd like to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such an important thing. Mental health, self-awareness. It's something that I am fiercely passionate about.
Yeah.
I truly believe that we all could use some therapy to some extent.
Right.
But it is, again, it's a stigma that we have to break as a community. It's a stigma that we have to break culturally. And it has improved a lot since we were kids. But it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take us being that example.
Right.
Being proud, successful Black males willing to have this kind of conversation, willing to tell the next generation, hey, it's okay to feel. Right. It's important to feel.
Right.
It's important to be able to identify what you're feeling. And even if you can't, let's talk about it.
Right. I wanted to say, it sounded when you were talking, feeling is a feeling, or to people listening, what I realized in my journey is feeling your feelings is living. That's you being alive.
It is.
That is also part of you being in the driver's seat of your life. where you're no longer the passenger or the back seat to things that are happening around you. You know, and you make conscious decisions to remove yourself from spaces, or conscious decisions to put yourself in spaces that are going to be fruitful for you. And that was one. And then the other thing I thought of while you were talking is that there is, you know, there are some breakthrough, and you said that. And I think that with, I like to say, a ripple effect. So it takes one or two people, you throw that penny into that water, and it creates this ripple effect, and it is constant, like, that is what I think of. It's a collective of people talking about going to therapy, a collective of people creating spaces now for dinner conversations, you know, or group conversations, right? If it's not through food, you know, it's always going to be through food for me. Other people may have more just group formats, you know, and it could start with us asking questions to ourselves, like, and then we do the work. Like, I feel like you creating this podcast is because of the work you've been doing on yourself.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you created this so it's a space for you to continue to do the work on yourself while giving other people a platform, and hopefully liberating other people, the listeners, of how they can be a better version of themselves.
Definitely. I mean, if I'm being honest, before doing the work and rebuilding, renovating my blueprint,
Yes, the renovation.
I definitely couldn't sit in this space in the way that I sit in it now. I definitely could not articulate the benefits of it, the depth of it, the understanding that it's an ongoing process. And this is another structural beam for my blueprint, right? This is helping to build a foundation, and hopefully not just for myself, like you said, you know, for anyone out there who needs to hear this.
Right.
I hope that this is a space that we've created that is welcoming, that is comforting, that helps guide you on your journey. But yeah, it's definitely an extension of my continued renovation of my blueprint.
Oh, that's what's up.
So on this podcast, we talk a lot about internal architecture, the structure inside of us that holds everything together. What's the internal blueprint behind your work? What values, what rituals, what truths hold you up?
Got you. I think that's a great segue because we were just finishing that. But anyway, all right. So it's multiple different practices. So honestly, when you talk about in the work that I do externally, I always, when people say, "Oh my God, I'm so excited for you. I hope you're excited for yourself and proud about the work you've done." I'm like, I am. I tell them, but that work, the external work you see in my building my career and the brand, is really because of the internal work that I've done on myself. If I didn't do the internal work, you wouldn't get the things that you got, because I wouldn't have the self-esteem fully enough to put myself in the space, or the awareness to know when I need to reach out for assistance and help and blah, 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 blah. Or to know that, hey, you're not, well, to be resilient at and say, oh, you think you're closing the door, but you're not. I'm going to find a way around this. There's always a way to get around something, or get through it. So what does those look like? Oof. All right. I have to go through my damn, like, what does that look like? What's that day in Korea? All right.
Talk me through it.
Yeah. So for me, number one is gratitude. It's very big in my practice. I'm thankful for living. You can text me and say, how is your day? Or how's the day started? I said, I'm thankful. I'm alive. I got to breathe in air to see another day. I got to be thankful just based off of the day starting and my eyes opening. Because the people that their eyes, this is their last day. This is some people, this is their first day and they've been alive for 20 years or 30 years or 40 years.
Never too late to renovate.
Do you get what I'm saying? So one, gratitude, being thankful for where I'm at, what I have, because I can have less than what I can have. I can be in a ditch somewhere. It could just be worse. So gratitude is number one, and that shows up in different places. Really just waking up and saying, thank you for waking me up. Going to the gym, making sure that the vessel, the ship that I'm using to steer me through this ocean of called life needs to be well maintained. It's like your car.
I can definitely see you've been getting ripped.
You know what I mean? Why? And I had to because I wasn't maintaining the vessel. And this year, that was one of the things that I said I was going to do because I have a long journey ahead of me. I got some things I got some things that I got laid out for me that I don't even know yet. But what I do know is this vessel needs to keep me going through. Number one. So making sure, and what does that look like? People may ask. That's not just working out, but movement in your day. So if you sit down, make sure you're moving, make sure you're getting some type of exercise in. It feels good to do it. Honestly, it's a great stress reliever. Next thing, also what I internalize in terms of what I view and watch. I'm not just watching endless TV. I literally watch like 2 to 3 hours of TV towards the end of my day, right? And I'm filling it up with either something entertaining or something to learn from. And learning from could be, I can watch TV to learn because I'm in the media space. So I could be watching a show that I like. Another thing is reading. I love to read. Read anything that you enjoy. I read a lot of self-help, money managing books because that's just the topic. I also like novels that are focused on queer and Black people centric. So I read a lot of those books, but I'm open to others. I make sure that the friendship group that I have is positive and uplifting. I don't gossip. I try not to be around people who gossip 24/7. Like I really maintain positivity around me. I listen to a lot of self-help podcasts or videos on YouTube. So a podcast I listen to is Mel Robinson, Shetty's podcast, Jay Shetty's podcast. And then I listen to a lot of clips that is like, I forgot some of these people's names because they be collab like Lisa Nichols and my God, it's a Black guy. I can see him, but I can't think of his name right now.
Well, hopefully pretty soon there'll be guests.
Yeah.
Blueprint of Soul. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll plug them all and we'll tag them and make sure that
yes,
they get exposed to this audience and vice versa.
Yeah, so stuff like that. So that is the things that keep me grounded and keep me positive. And I involve myself in activities that are fruitful to me. And no is a complete answer. And
the power of no.
Okay. And yes is a complete answer when you say yes to yourself. When you're saying yes to,
absolutely.
I'm gonna buy myself this dress because I don't often buy myself things. Yes, I'm gonna take this trip, or yes, I'm gonna go to this event because I want to meet at least one person in the room. If I meet 3 to 4, great, but I'm gonna at least meet one person in that room, and I'm gonna invest the $300 to be in that room. That's the yeses that I'm talking about.
Sounds like you're very intentional with the way that you maneuver through the world, the way that you live your life. And I think intentionality is something that we should all strive for. You have to be intentional in the way that you build. The structure, the foundation, the support, those things all matter.
Yeah.
And being intentional in what you allow in and the materials you form your blueprint from determines the sustainability of your project.
Agree. And I want to let people know, you may come into something or you may get an idea about becoming something, because I like to call it the journey of becoming. So you might get something that and you want to go towards it. Understand that it may not come the way that you think it should. It's going to come a whole nother way. And what I learned last summer, it clicked to me, is that old saying of enjoying the journey and not until you get to the destination. When I took I do a lot of reflection as part of my practices, and reflection could be every week, every end of the month, every quarter, every 6 months. You should be reflecting and patting yourself on the back for where you've been, where you was, and where you now are. Because that is how you're going to show who you are and how you're becoming. When you sit back and not just put your head down, you sit back and reflect and sit and talk to people about, like, oh my God, I feel so happy about this. And you might be the only one celebrating yourself, and that is okay. You should be celebrating your small wins to your large wins. But anyway, enjoy the journey, because the journey is truly where the character is built. It's not the destination.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, honestly, it's, people and process over results.
Hmm.
If you pour into, if you empower, if you reflect and build the self as well,
Mm-hmm.
the results will happen.
Agree.
Form follows function.
Hmm.
If you function properly, things will form themselves. If
I like that.
if you build that foundation, you set your walls as your boundaries and your support beams, the structure will form itself.
Correct. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. And be okay with it. You are a living, breathing organism. So is your dreams. So is where you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to accomplish. So be okay. Like I said, once again, just changing the words up. Be okay with things happening a different way for you. Because always note, I always like to tell people, things are not happening to you. They are happening for you.
Well, it has been a pleasure having you. Please let everybody know what projects you have coming up. Where can they find you? Socials, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy. I know people are like, I'm so proud of you. I'm really just happy. I'm happy that you've created this platform and you're moving through with it. It takes a lot of work to create something and to stay in it and consistent in it. So much love and success to you, my
Thank you.
friend, on
Thank
the
you.
journey. Who knows, guys, you might hear from me again. And where you guys can follow me. Mr. Bake Sweets on Instagram. So that's MRBAKESWEETS on Instagram, as well as X or TikTok or Twitter. My website is my name, KareemQueeman.com. So that's KareemQueeman.com. That's also my TikTok because I had a Mr. Bake TikTok, lost it. They're not giving it up. It's whatever. So now it's like Chef Kareem Queeman or something like that.
We'll get on it.
Yeah, but go to the website, sign up to the newsletter. That's the best way to keep up for new shows that are coming out, or just how you can support, help any future events that we got going on. I have going on.
Thank you very much. Guys, please, 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 on Instagram, on X, TikTok, he gave you the website. Like, follow, subscribe, watch the shows we have coming out. I promise you, it's a good time. Thank you again for being with us.
Thank you.
Conversations like this always stay with me. Because when someone speaks honestly about food, identity, and care, they're never just talking about desserts. They're talking about how they learned to survive, how they learned to belong, and how they learned to build something meaningful from what they were given. What Kareem shared isn't just a story, it's a blueprint. Before we move into blueprint tips for today, I want to introduce a new segment, what we're doing regularly here on Blueprint and Soul. This is called From the Community. It's the space where we answer questions from listeners about identity, leadership, culture, food, psychology, and the real work of building a life from the inside out. Because this is a new segment, we don't have listener submissions just yet. But these are the questions that have already come up in conversation, messages, and quiet moments since I've started this podcast. If any of these sounds like something you've asked yourself, this segment is for you. The first question this week was actually asked right after episode 1. Their question: how do I honor where I come from without feeling stuck there? That's a powerful question and an honest one. Because honoring your roots doesn't mean you owe them your future. In real life, this can look like keeping the values, not the limitations. Honoring the love without repeating the pain. taking the lessons and choosing a different expression. You don't have to reject where you come from to outgrow it, and you don't have to stay small to stay loyal. Growth isn't betrayal. Our next question really resonates with me and will hit home for a lot of people, especially this time of the year. The question is, food connects me to my family, but it also brings up complicated emotions. How do I handle both? You're not alone in that. Food carries memory, and memory isn't always simple. Sometimes food reminds us of love, safety, celebration. But sometimes it reminds us of absence, tension, and the things we never talk about. Both can be true. Holding both of those looks like allowing the emotion without judgment, creating new rituals that feel safe now, and choosing what you carry forward and what you gently set down. You're allowed to redefine what nourishment looks like in your life. And that brings us to our final question for this week. This one was submitted by a young builder who's learning to lead, but also learning themselves. Their question: how do I build community when I feel like I don't fully belong anywhere? Sometimes belonging doesn't come from finding the right room. It comes from building a smaller table. One or two people, one consistent space, one place where you can fully be yourself. Community doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be real. Questions like these are the reason this podcast exists. They remind us that blueprints aren't theoretical. They're lived. So let's move into a few blueprint tips. Ways today's conversation might show up in your everyday life. Blueprint tip number 1: build the table that fits your truth. What this looks like in real life is choosing environments where you don't have to shrink, leaving rooms where your identity is treated like an inconvenience, starting something of your own because no existing space truly fits you, redefining success on your terms, not someone else's blueprint. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop asking for permission and start building with intention. Blueprint tip number 2: purpose isn't your title, it's your impact. In real life, this looks like mentoring someone quietly, without recognition, creating opportunities for others, even when it doesn't benefit you directly. Choosing work that aligns with your values, not just your resume. Measuring success by how people feel after they interact with you. Purpose isn't what you say you do. It's what people experience because you exist. Blueprint tip number 3: food is memory, and memory is identity. This can show up as paying attention to the meals you crave when you're stressed or tired. Noticing which foods remind you of safety, love, or belonging. Cooking family recipes as a way to stay grounded. Using food as a way to reconnect with parts of yourself you've outgrown or forgotten. Your body remembers things that your mind doesn't always have the words for. Blueprint tip number 4. Healing often begins at the table. In your life, this may look like inviting someone over instead of isolating. Sitting down for meals instead of eating on the run. Creating rituals, weekly dinners, shared meals, intentional gatherings. Allowing yourself to receive care, not just give it. Sometimes healing doesn't look like therapy or breakthroughs. Sometimes it looks like sitting down, being fed, and being seen. It's about blueprints. They're not just plans. They're possibilities. They give shape to what already exists inside of you. And when we talk about tables, food, and memory, what we're really talking about is the quiet ways we learn how to be. So before we close, I want to slow this down and leave you with something for the soul. The table is our first teacher. It's where we learn how to listen before we learn how to speak. It's where we learn how to love and how it shows up. It's where we learn who belongs and sometimes who doesn't. And as we grow, we spend so much time building careers, reputations, and identities. We forget the earliest blueprint was never about achievement. It was about connection. So I want to leave you with a few questions. What table shaped you? What table are you sitting at right now? And what table are you building for yourself and for others? Because we don't just eat at the table. We learn how to belong there. We learn how to lead there. And sometimes we learn how to come home ourselves. Thank you for spending time with us on Blueprint and Soul. A huge thank you to Kareem, Mr. Bake Queeman, for sharing his story, his craft, and his heart. Make sure you follow Kareem on Instagram at Mr. Bake Sweets to keep up with his work. We'd also love to hear from you. If you have a question you want us to explore on a future episode about identity, leadership, culture, food, or the work of building a life from the inside out, you can send it to us on Instagram at Blueprint and Soul or email us directly at blueprintandsoulpod@gmail.com. No question is too small, and you can always submit anonymously. Follow the show on Instagram for updates, behind-the-scenes moments, and upcoming episodes. And join us next week for episode 4, The Soundtrack of Resilience, where we explore how music shapes identity, healing, and the rhythm of who we're becoming. Until next time, build with intention and lead with soul.